Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Last week we talked about getting clear on what we wanted scrapbooking to give us now, getting reconnected to scrapbooking. And once you get that clarity, something becomes very obvious, and that is that a lot of the traditional scrapbooking rules that many of us have followed over the years don't really mesh with the direction that we're trying to go, our new connection. In fact, many of them do the opposite. They make us second guess ourselves, overthink our pages, and feel like we're doing something wrong. So today I want to talk about 5 of the most common scrapbooking rules that get in our way and cause us agita and why you're allowed to let them go. Rule number 1, and this is what I call the event dump. And this rule told me that if it happened, it belonged on the album. So for birthdays, dinner out, party, just dump all the photos from that event in there because you just don't want to miss a single thing, right? And that sounds good until you realize that there will always be more photos than you can ever document. Let me show you an example of what I mean. So on this page, this is actually a 2-page spread. And I'm just going to show you a page at a time so it can fit in the frame. But this is an event from when I left my last job, and I got a spirograph, so I had to include spirograph on here. And then when we get to the photos, see there's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, apparently 6 photos, but using these flip flaps, you get into even more photos. And there was supposed to be journaling here, and I never even got to the journaling because I was so focused on making sure that I printed out every single photo of every single person that was at my going away party and making sure that was documented on the page. Now I just use 1 to 3 photos that I think represent the event. So let me show you what that looks like. I did a video on this particular page, and yes, I'm using the flip flaps. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 photos. I said 1 to 3, but 4 was appropriate, I think, for this. There were many more photos from this event, but I picked the ones that I thought best represented the event. And I did use my flip flaps here, but I actually incorporated my journaling, my story, which was really the most important thing on the page to me. This tells a better story about what happened than on that other layout where I was so concerned about the products that I didn't even think about writing the story about the event. A lot of photos adds design pressure. Where do I put this one? How do I arrange it so it looks nice and perfect? So if you've been trying to event photo dump on your pages, you have permission to choose 1 to 3 or maybe 4 pictures and keep the rest on your phone or in your photo box. Rule number 2, everything must match and come from the same collection. I used to believe that if my papers and embellishments weren't from the same kit, my page would not look cohesive. And that meant I bought a lot of coordinated kits, and then I felt weird mixing them with other kits. And anyway, it's rare that you even use up a whole kit. You always have leftovers. And so what do you do with those? Now here's an example of me using a kit to do this layout. So I have all, in fact, this is from a very old video about mixing pattern paper. So you have this paper here and this paper here, and then you've got your little pumpkin and sticker and another banner sticker and another sticker here, and everything is supposed to match, but I don't, to me it looks, actually now looking back on it, it looks kind of busy. Now here is a page, this is my 2025 in review page, and I don't have anything from the same kit. They're all from different kits and everything is kind of mixed up. And maybe it looks a little bit more haphazard, but I will tell you that I did not have a lot of stress putting this page together. You've got washi from somewhere, stationery shop that I found. You've got these two from Project Life. This is from Close to My Heart. This is from American Crafts. I don't even know where this pattern paper is from. You've got this also from Close to My Heart, and this is from Pink Fresh. So it's like a multiple of brands that don't really match each other, and I was still able to put the page together. Your page doesn't have to pass the matching test. It just has to feel good to you and feel true to you when you look at it. Plus, real life isn't coordinated anyway, so why should your scrapbook pages be? Rule number 3, catch up on everything. If you have a pile of unfinished albums or years of photos sitting on your phone, this rule can feel really heavy. I carried that for a long time, this sense of that I was always behind on my life, and old me would have said, get them off your phone and into your scrapbooks. And new me says, not right now. Here's a new rule I'm embracing instead. Start with where you are right now. It's okay to go back and scrapbook old events or memories. That's perfectly fine if you have the energy. But if you don't feel like you have the creative energy to do that, then just start with today's memories. They're just as important, and you'll get to those other back memories eventually, or you'll just be happy having them in your photo box or on your phone to look at. And when you feel the urge to, hey, I want to make a page about it, then you can pull them off and do that. Rule number 4 is more supplies will make me more creative. I chased this one for a long time. New stamps, new papers, new tools, thinking that the next thing would finally unlock the creativity and the pages that I wanted to make. And what it really unlocked was stash fatigue. When you start with the products, every decision feels heavy because you're trying to figure out how to design around the products, instead of when you start with the story, your design becomes supportive instead of stressful. Let me show you an example of a product-led page. Here I have just a bunch of stickers and punch outs, and just again the stress of making everything look just so was a little too much. There's also stamping on here in some of these spaces, but it, to me, I don't even, if I looked at now looking at this page, it's like what was even going on? There's no journaling on here whatsoever except for these little captions. There's no space for journaling because everything is about the product. I say your creativity does not live in your stash. It lives in your stories. Let me show you an example of a new way or a different way. So on this side, we have an example of a more of what I would call a story-led page, because the journaling is talking about what am I enjoying. Now again, I am using product. I did a little marker coloring and some stamping here on these two pieces, but I was really focused on the idea of remembering a moment that I enjoyed recently where I got up in the morning and nobody else was up yet, and it was just by myself, and I was just thinking, and I had this cute little cup to have a nice cup of iced coffee in and just enjoying that moment, and that's what I wanted to remember. And then I found products in my stash that I thought accurately reflected that. I'm not saying don't use products, I'm just saying use them a little bit more intentionally. But if you start with the idea of the story first, you're not designing for the product, you're designing for your memory. And my final rule is to stop making pages that look impressive to other people. And this one can be sneaky because you might be thinking, what would my page look like? Would it look good on Instagram, or would I get compliments at a crop? So here's an example of what I mean by creating for Instagram worthy pages. This was a page that I did a couple years ago that was actually a demonstration of Cricut, and there's a lot going on this page. I've got stitching here, like I actually hand stitched this, and I've got some layered flowers. I'm layering my embellishments. My embellishments are layered for the gods. I mean, it's not a horrible page. It's just it's a lot of work. Because I created this page as a demo, I just felt like I had to just go a little bit crazy. And the weird thing is that it was like, oh, it's so easy to use Cricut. And I actually probably made anybody who was trying to replicate this, I could have probably made somebody stress out over it, and that's not exactly what I wanted to happen. So now my rule is I design for me. I'm not worried about if it looks fancy, and I don't really care if people like it or not, because it's not for them, it's for me. So if you've been trying to impress, consider chasing honest and real instead. If you're listening to this and thinking, I want to work this way, but I still need a little more structure, that's exactly what the free Pages in Progress sampler is for. This is a printout of it. It's a PDF on my website, and it gives you a handful of gentle prompts that you can use in any format: albums, notebooks, traveler's notebooks, creative journaling, whatever you do. So you're not starting from a blank page, and you can grab it using the link below. So I tell you about how to tell your stories. I give you a simple practice that you can try at your own pace. There's no challenge to it. You just do it. And I give you some prompts and give you some additional information about Pages in Progress. Like I said, you can grab this at the link in the description below this video. In the next video, I'm going to show you how I'm actually decluttering my stash based on these new rules, not by guilt, not by trends, but by asking which supplies support the stories I care about now, which supplies support a story first approach to scrapbooking. I'll see you in the next one.